Timeless, Chapter 2, Part 2. Luna could only blink, emotions threatening to choke her words.
Wait here but a moment. We shall deliberate for a moment, for your situation in our kingdom concerns both myself and my sister. And that is mainly because you lived under her rule for the majority of your life.
Luna managed to say, the two alicorns walking to a magically shielded side room, usually meant for highly sensitive diplomatic talks, and adorned only with a large table and some simple paintings. As soon as the doors closed, Luna let out a shuddering breath, the younger ruler shaking her head.
Sister, what do we do? I cannot bring myself to punish him, not for this,
she whispered. Celestia lay a wing over Luna's shoulders, nodding slowly. While a bit more collected than Luna, her impassive mask was cracked, and the elder sister let out a sad sigh.
Neither can I. That paw has punished him enough, I think, but he is your charge, Luna. He may have lived under my rule, but he is still one of your knights, and he expects a punishment. However, this is a unique case.
Luna nodded in agreement, managing to compose herself after a few moments.
I believe I have an idea, dear sister, but it will take a bit more time to plan out. I do have a temporary measure that will state both Shifting Sand's expectation for justice, yet take into account his works. However, I believe once we both have contemplated the matter further, then we can proceed. But to do so now, with so much to take in, I don't trust myself to make an accurate decision, not yet.
Celestia's eyes twinkled as she gave her younger sister a hug, nodding in approval.
I think that is the most wise, Luna. I trust your judgment completely. However, we may want to inform him of the curse's nature.
The two returned, sitting in front of the still bowing stallion. Luna took a step forward, wings slightly outstretched. Armor returned to the alicorn's frame, weaving around hooves, barrel, and head, as the Princess of the Night looked down on the increasingly fearful stallion.
Stand, Private Shifting Sands, and hear us!
Luna barked, the unicorn snapping to attention despite his limbs shivering.
You are hereby charged with the usage of a dangerous and forbidden magical artifact. Your immediate sentence is thus. You are hereby expelled from the Lunar Knights, effective immediately. Your rank and name shall be purged from the records, as such a crime has no place among those swearing loyalty to me as a knight. Surrender your pendant.
Luna held out her hoof, and the insignia was levitated over by Shifting Sand's magic, the item vanishing as Luna sent it to one of the many magical storage portals. She then smiled, armor fading away on the winds like mist in the morning sun.
For helping so many of our ponies and striving to do good, even while cursed with an evil spell, I pardon you fully of any other penalties using such an item held. You are to stay here in the palace for a time as our guest, at least until my sister and I have figured out how best to assist you. Or if you wish to go and return to whatever life you see fit, that is acceptable, provided you remain in Canterlot for a short period of time before Hoof. We intend to verify your tale of deeds in life, of course, but I detect no lies from you.
As the unicorn blinked in shock, Luna's expression fell, and the alicorn shaking her head slowly.
However, Shifting Sands, we must regretfully inform you that the ancient magic placed upon you has come and gone,
Luna said sadly.
There is nothing to dispel, nor current cursed effects. Whatever the pod did to you transpired in an instant and affected you permanently.
The ex-private flopped to the ground, haunches hitting the stone floor rather heavily. His eyes looked to Luna, the briefest look of betrayal flickering across his features. You cannot lift the curse? Shifting asked, only sorrow filling his gaze now.
We cannot. I'm sorry, Shifting Sands.
The stallion clenched his jaw, his head shaking back and forth slowly, looking to the floor. That's it? Am I not... I don't understand. Luna tilted her head curiously, hearing only confusion in Shifting's voice.
Thou were expecting something else, I assume? Death, perhaps? The dungeons for a decade?
Shifting nodded, features quivering slightly. I was expecting for death, or perhaps the lifting of the curse to live out my days in exile. I wasn't prepared for freedom, nor for the curse to never... I don't... Luna nodded slowly, interjecting as she could see the stallion's state deteriorating.
You are indeed free, with some limits for now. We wish to further discuss how best to help you after processing all of this. Now then, some guards will show you to some guest quarters, and on the morrow, my sister and I will discuss your predicament with you further. Perhaps...
The spinning of a certain rogue and rather devious idea continued to form in Luna's mind, and she had to resist the urge to clap her hooves together with a knowing smirk. It would help this poor pony immensely, at least she hoped.
In the meantime, Shifting Sands, we would recommend thou prepare a resume. If we are to help you, knowing your skills would be most welcome.
Such a statement prompted a confused look from both Celestia and Shifting, but the unicorn only nodded as 2 summoned royal guards led him away. As soon as the doors closed, Luna let out a loud breath and pressed her head against Celestia's shoulder.
That was difficult,
she muttered, feeling her sister nod in agreement.
Hearing the challenges we faced laid out in such brutal terms, it was saddening, indeed. And you also noticed how he appeared to be distracted? And those glowing eyes. That could indicate a magical and emotional imbalance.
Celestia mused, Luna nodding slowly.
I believe he is stuck in an adjusting phase, the result of a broken and artificial form of ascension. You remember this time, sister? We thought we were late for a lesson, but it had passed a week ago. It took time to acclimate to the sense of not aging after earning our cutie marks. Not in a normal sense, at least. I fear that Shifting is stuck in that previous time, and instead of passing it in a few years, it has continued perpetually. His mind has remained mortal, as it were, and is unable to comprehend it all.
The Solar Princess continued, prompting a nod from Luna.
I would agree. Although, would not a grounding spell solve it if we were to both amplify the power? I know it's assisted many traumatized ponies with their nightmares, so perhaps it can reorient Shifting to his current situation and break the cycle? It is worth a try, Luna. I think that particular effect is not from the paw and therefore can be helped, at least somewhat. If successful, he'll just have to slowly adjust, as he should have done naturally. I think the paw afflicted him to watch those loved die as he endured. I do not believe the fuzziness is part of that, since we both have experienced such, but perhaps the fear of me was initially given by the paw, however, to prevent me or any pony from breaking the vicious cycle. But that seems to have worn off. Perhaps the paw didn't expect any users to continue with their lives this long.
Celestia added, finally sighing with a tired shake of her head.
I will retire to bed for now, and perhaps you should stay in your study with your 2 loyal guards. I'll keep my soldiers on high alert as well. It has been a very strange night indeed.
Luna nodded in agreement as they hugged, parting ways to their separate rooms. The Night Princess's thoughts spun even as she retired to her room to watch over the Dream Realm.
One of my nights, showing up here and expecting punishment? That poor pony must have been through so much. I'm surprised that he's still sane.
Her eyes narrowed as she went about her dream duties on autopilot, a single phrase refusing to leave her awareness. I think something broke, Your Highness. Shifting Sands stared at the guards. His leaden limbs led him into a rather extravagant guest room suite. The colors were muted, golds and blues mixed together with ornate curtains, and dark wood furniture gave the room a slightly homey feel. The castle is still under high alert due to the recent events. Do not leave this room until summoned for breakfast. Do you understand? One of the golden armored ponies barked. Shifting nodded swiftly. I understand. Thank you. The guard then relaxed slightly, his companion nodding in approval. Good job, by the way. Saving the princess, that is. The 2 then left, leaving the unicorn alone with his thoughts. Alone with my thoughts as always. The only thing not to wither and pass away, but occasionally lead me astray. Removing his magically attuned armor, Shifting enjoyed a long, hot shower, scrubbing as much dirt and grime off of his body as possible. The steaming room was also a place to think, and there was quite a bit of that to be had. The world seemed to shift slightly, and what felt like a few minutes turned out to be an hour, according to the clock that Shifting glanced to as he toweled off. More time that slips away. That was the worst part of the curse. There was, in a very literal sense, no time, and too much time. Love was impossible, friends were made, and lost in a flash. Nothing endured. No, the ponies that I helped, my legacy endured. Towns that are still safe, however few. Families allowed to flourish, their children allowed to grow up. No. Any chance of having any sort of relationships are lost. All from trying to save those closest to me. But at least I can ensure that some good may endure in this world, however little. I saved my family, and my siblings had their own children. A form of a legacy. I couldn't keep track of all of them after a time. It all blurred together. How can I remember every failure so clearly, yet all the good I've done slips through my grasp? He let out a shaking breath, a few tears in his eyes. Clear moments such as this were rare when his emotions were allowed to flourish and resonate. In many ways, he had never been allowed to cope. He could feel it all churning under the surface, occasionally rearing its head like it did in the throne room. A torrent of emotion. His eyes glowing as magic sought to correct some strange imbalance. And then it passed. And there was so much to process. Perhaps one day it'll all just come crashing down. The face of the one individual eased a bit of the tidal wave, the unicorn shaking his head. After all these years, finally seeing her again. For the first time, it feels like I don't have to keep wandering, being here at this castle. Maybe she'll be willing to listen, to help me understand how to cope. I would ask Celestia, but it's just not the same. A certain memory rose to the fore, prompting a slight smile. It had been the first interaction with Luna the unicorn ever had, and it was an ever-fond memory. A simple stumble, a trip, and then hitting a rather soft, fuzzy wall. A helping blue hoof had then been outstretched.
Thou must be more careful,
Nephili had said, shifting stammering to his reply to the princess as she giggled.
What? Do we have something on our face?
Shifting it only smiled, shaking his head as he bowed.
Sorry, your highness. For what? Thou tripped. We are fine, but thou must be more alert.
Hearing someone summon her, Luna had waved, leaving a very perplexed yet happy Colt behind. I had quite literally stumbled into her. How I wasn't beset by guards instantly, I still don't know. I've always felt more comfortable with her, I suppose, and that's why I enrolled in the Lunar Nights and talk to the moon every now and again. I may not know her, but I can at least trust her judgment. But every creature else I could trust? They're gone. A song lyric rose to the forefront of the unicorn's mind, a modern creation that had inexplicably stunned Shifting for a few long minutes. Music was one of the few things that could ground him and keep the world still for a time. Played at a late-night DJ event but a week ago, no pony had noticed the tan stallion in the back of the packed room abruptly bursting into tears amid the festive dancing, wet streams of emotion spilling from his eyes even now. Shifting whispered a few of the words as he curled up on a bed, alone in the guest room, in more ways than one. A soft pillow was clutched between his hubs, a small gesture to try and make the surroundings feel a bit more permanent. I don't know about you all, but I wouldn't mind living a longer than normal life. I'm just fascinated with the idea of seeing things progress. Anywho, let's get on to our progressive donators. Top donators Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, J Tin Man, Darkside, and Ponyman. CourierCruz CI, Strix, Zar630, Narwhals, TacoCat598, Rayden, Blackmoonheart, Dospo, Delta Omega, RuneScythe9852, Hunter Norman, Austin Rowland, Lightning Blitz, Rhyny Dragonwolf, Secret Moon, Tal Rasha, The Toilet Snake, Sword Brethren Mordred, Ronin Wandering, Endrai63, Random Person Man Guy, Easy, Jack Hedge, Skyochia, Leslie Prickett, Jordan Peterson, Crimson Kitten A9, Lightskin, Starlight Glimmer, Squiddy Boy, David E. Sanchez, Soul Dragon, Gaggy, Trey, Shadow Drake, Joe Piercy, Alex F, Rainbow Dash, Teal'c Anderson, TV Killer, John Becker, Leon Reynolds, Raven Speedster, Zach Racal, Mr. ECU, Edgar Garcia, One Kingdom 1, Nissa Rusan, Vazuri, Dyslexic Character Sheets, Just a Random Boy, Hodrick Plincart, A Crazy Person, Ponyman365, and Daniel Beck. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and live life to the fullest.